William Collins presents The Making of Poetry, Coleridge, the Wordsworths, and Their Year of Marvels by Adam Nicolson, read by Roger Davis. The making of verses, the making of works, occurs in the edges of your life, of your time, in your late nights or early mornings, and my words, the words for me, seem to have more nervous energy when they are touching territory that I know, that I live with. I can lay my hand on a place and know it. And the words come alive and get a kind of personality when they are involved with it for me. The landscape is image. It's almost an element to work with, as much as it is an object of admiration. Seamus Heaney speaking to Patrick Garland on Poets on Poetry, BBC One, October 1973. Chapter 1. Following. The year, or slightly more than a year, from June 1797 until the early autumn of 1798, has a claim to being the most famous moment in the history of English poetry. In the course of it, two young men of genius, living for a while on the edge of the Quantock Hills in Somerset, began to find their way towards a new understanding of the world, of nature, and of themselves. These months have always been portrayed, by Wordsworth and Coleridge and by Wordsworth's sister Dorothy as much as by anyone else, as a time of unbridled delight and well-being, of overabundant creativity, with a singularity of conviction and purpose from which extraordinary poetry emerged. Certainly what they wrote adds up to an astonishing catalogue. This lime-tree bower my prison, Kubla Khan, The Ancient Mariner, Christabel, Frost at Midnight, The Nightingale, all Wordsworth's strange and troubling poems in Lyrical Ballads, The Idiot Boy, The Thorn, the grandeur and beauty of Tintern Abbey, and in his notebooks, the first suggestions of what would become passages in The Prelude. The grip of this poetry is undeniable, but its origins are not in comfort or delight, or, at least until Wordsworth's walk up the Wye Valley in July 1798, any sense of arrival. The psychic motor of the year is something of the opposite, a time of adventure and perplexity, of Wordsworth and Coleridge both ricocheting away from the revolutionary politics of the 1790s, in which both had been involved, and both, to different degrees, disappointed. Wordsworth was unheard of, and Coleridge was still under attack in the conservative press. Both were in retreat, from cities, from politics, from gentlemanliness and propriety, from the expected, towards nature, and, in a way that makes this year foundational for modernity, towards the self, its roots, its forms of self-understanding, its fantasies, longings, dreads, and ideals. For both, the Quantocks were a refuge come laboratory, one in which every suggestion of an arrival was to be seen merely as a stepping stone. The path was far from certain. One of Wordsworth's criteria for pleasure in poetry was the sense of difficulty overcome, and that is a central theme of this year. Their poetry was not a culmination or a summation, but had its life at the beginning of things, at a time of what Seamus Heaney called historical crisis and personal dismay, emergent, unsummoned, encountered in the midst of difficulty, arriving as unexpectedly as a figure on a night road or a vision in mid-ocean, or the wisdom and understanding of a child. It was not about powerful feelings recollected in tranquillity. Wordsworth's famous and oracular definition would not come to him until more than 2 years after he had left Somerset. This was different, a poetry of approaches, journeys out and journeys in, leading to the gates of understanding,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?